Hey, welcome to KUAM's Decision 2014. I'm Jess, Lujan, your host. I want to introduce also my producer of the show, Kin JC Conception. He's what keeps us going here. I'd like to introduce my in-studio guests this morning as we continue, of course, the candidate buzz. We have incumbent Senator Republican Tommy Morrison and senatorial candidate Democrat Derick Baza Hills. Good morning, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Bananas is a senator.
Tell you, who do we want to start at this point?
I'll
Okay.
give the opportunity to our
To our
senator,
senator?
of course,
Okay.
absolutely.
Senator, I tell you what, just go ahead and talk to our folks. Tell them who you are. Not that they don't know you, but again, who you are, number of the ballot, what side of the ballot you are, and your platform.
Well,
1 minute.
First off, I want to thank KUAM and for the opportunity to be on your show. I wake up every day focused on improving the lives of our people, while also ensuring that we provide more efficiencies for this government. I spent a lot of time dedicated to ensuring that our government advances in our customer service, and that's why I worked with colleagues to establish the Office of Technology, where now it's focused on innovation where our people need it. And of course, to maximize better use of technology throughout our government. I also spent a lot of time working with my colleagues to provide a dedicated funding source to ensure that our sports facilities throughout our island are where our children play, get the needed help they deserve. And again, I want to thank you for the opportunity. It's great to be here with Mr. Derick Baza Hills, and I look forward to improving on those services or those initiatives going forward in the next term.
There we go. Derick, please.
Thank you, Senator Lujan. First of all, I'd like to thank KUAM for the opportunity for myself and Senator Morrison to be on the show today. I'd like to, of course, good morning and buenas and hafade to the people of Guam. It's them that I should thank them for this opportunity, because without them I wouldn't be here and, of course, running for office this time around. This election is just so critical to the future and to future generations that this election must focus on the issues at hand and the issues that will be forthcoming. What I stand for and what Derick Baza Hill stands for is to make sure that we address the issues of job creation for many of our high school students, the continuancy of making sure that there's opportunity for college graduates that have the skills and trades to make sure that they have a fair shot and to accomplish their dreams here at home. I think there's been a lack of attention to that, to where we have many of our sons and daughters actually leaving off island for better paying, stable quality jobs. And I think that they should have that opportunity here at home. Maniluz and Maninahu, Wahusi Derick Baza Hills, Manfanena and Kwetuds and Matkusi Familian Mami. And I ask for your humble support this election as we continue to make this election about the issues and we contrast our records. Sizus Maasi.
Thank you. Start with you, and again, Derick, and just so you know that you were a former staffer of mine.
Absolutely,
years
yes.
back, yesterday as well, a former staffer was here as well. But let me ask you, because in years, and this question will go to both of you. Derick, in the past, you have led some issues towards alternative lifestyles and acceptance in the community nationwide. That's been a move for equality, recognition to everyone, regardless of whatever lifestyles they may have. Should you be elected to the 33rd Guam legislature, would you continue to move towards that, to the acceptance of everybody in general to be equal, regardless of whatever lifestyle they may enjoy?
Thank you, Senator, for that question. And that question has always been brought up throughout the campaign and campaigns previously. I was involved directly with the developing of policies that would allow and afford the same rights and benefits to individuals that love and share a relationship of the same gender. However, in 2009, when I was in the Youth Congress and developed this legislation with Vice Speaker Cruz, we were addressing an issue that we knew that would eventually come up across the United States, where today you see many of the courts are overturning bans on to say it's unconstitutional to deny these rights and benefits to individuals based upon gender. And I think here in Guam we're unique. We provide that hospitality. We're respectful to one another, and I think we need to continue having a conversation, because if not, and it gets to the courts, then we will absolutely see this continuance of overturning any legislation or law that would prohibit the same rights and benefits to our people.
Okay. Senator, you have a minute and a half basically to make up for the previous. Okay, go ahead.
Well, this is a very sensitive, has been a very sensitive issue throughout our island, and I believe, as Derick stated, that Guam's very unique. We've embraced all walks of life on this island, and we've done our best to ensure that we provide a fair share for them to have a lifestyle on Guam. Of course, I've always made it clear to many of my colleagues and supporters of where I stand on many of these issues. And again, I'm always open-minded to listening to how we could embrace and ensure that that we provide opportunities for these folks that want to pursue a lifestyle of their own. So again, I'm open-minded to ensuring that we listen to everything, have put this discussion on the table, and see where we go with that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Senator. Senator, again, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Derick. Recently, just actually as of yesterday, I guess the final decision from the Guam Election Commission in regards to medicinal marijuana, how it's going to be, I guess, titled in less than 100 words, again, to put in the general election ballot. Yesterday, finally, a solidification from the Guam Election Commission that the Santos Amendment 50% plus one, and that the blank ballots will not count against the people's vote or non-vote. So basically, as a legislative submission, finally, if viewed as a legislative submission, will pass by the simple majority. Your thoughts on medicinal marijuana? Because at first it was tackled by the legislature. Unfortunately, they didn't have the votes in there, and so according to the author and co-author, that's the reason why they went through the legislative submission, because they didn't quite have enough votes in the legislature to make that decision. Your thoughts on medicinal marijuana and this upcoming general election, Senator?
Well, despite my reservations and some of the concerns of medicinal marijuana, I've always been open-minded to the issue. I've always been very public about that. And there is a lot of discussion and debate taking place throughout the nation. Actually, just recently, reading in the news, the governor of Colorado also made it clear to his colleagues that we need to also take a step back and look at. We don't have all the data necessary to provide for his colleagues in the areas of the type of social impacts that are taking place in the state, or the revenues that are generating from medicinal marijuana, and all these things that have been said about this issue. I want to make it very clear. I'm all for a referendum, allow the people to vote, and make their voices heard on this issue, and let's go from there.
Okay. Derick?
Thank you, Senator. And I was asked this question many times over the course of the campaign, and this question has also been brought up in previous years. I want to make clear to the people of Guam that I stand in support of medicinal marijuana at this time. I think Senator Barnes, along with the support of Senator Aline Yamashita, have taken to the people an issue that we need assistance in terms of the input. I think the people will never go wrong when they provide their input through a vote as to whether this issue should be legalized through referendum. Medicinal marijuana is going to help many families, not just families with health issues, but also many of our veterans where we seem to leave them out. And I think with medicinal marijuana, we're going down the right direction, and we're going to make sure that we can address it through a referendum. I think it's going to pass ultimately, and I want people to know that it's all about helping families, especially the young children that in many states that are given this kind of medication so that they would kind of live out their life without having to endure some pain.
Okay, thank you, Derick.
Thank
Derick,
you.
We'll start with you again in this question. it was just yesterday, I think, or it was the day before, that we got, of course, you're both familiar with Neil Weir's involvement in a suit representing American Samoa. But basically, the bigger picture was it represents all U.S. territories, basically. An amicus brief that was presented by the Obama administration to the district court basically says, Congress giveth, Congress can take it away. So in this case, basically, Obama put ink to paper and basically solidified that we are second-class citizens. Your thoughts on that, and what you would do in the 33rd Guam legislature, because this could have a long-range effect on us here in Guam, to keeping us exactly where we're at, rather than maybe changing our political status and whatever it may be. So your thoughts, how would you go about, what would you do to get in the 33rd Guam legislature? Again, would you continue with our second-class citizenship, or what would you do? Please.
Well, thank you. That question is another issue that's important to the people of Guam. I kind of put myself in the position where Dr. McNich had mentioned in previous editorials. I think the question is going to come down to two things. One, is Guam going to want to keep its U.S. passport, or are we going to deny ourselves that opportunity? I think that what Senator Hope Cristobal had mentioned on The View here on the Buzz was that we have to mature ourselves to the point where we have to draft our own constitution. I know, Senator Lujan, you were very involved in this when you were in the legislature, and I truly respect that, because this is not just going to happen overnight. It's going to take a course of many, many months and years so that we can come together and address the issue on political status and whether we're going to have self-determination. Many people talk to me about this, but I think it comes down to the mere fact that we have to mature to the point where we have to show the federal government we take this very seriously, and not just talk about war reparations and other discussions that are very important to our manamko and our youth and our island, but making sure we come together so that we can actually draft a document of our own.
I mean, okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Just to be clear, because I interviewed former Senator Hope Cristobal as well, that yeah, she wants a constitution, but she wants a political status change prior to a constitution, so not a constitution prior to a status change. So
yes.
I just want to make sure that is clear, because
Sure.
I asked her for sure. You want a status change prior to a constitutional change? Absolutely. Senator, please.
Well, you know, I read that, and that was very clearly an unfortunate statement by our President of the United States. And I've always been an advocate for a closer relationship with the United States. We are privileged to be part of the greatest democratic nation in modern history. And, you know, we have sons and daughters that are fighting right now. We have sons and daughters who've paid the ultimate sacrifice for this country, for this island, for this flag. And to hear that statement is very unfortunate. What we need to do, the steps that needs to be taken, is that we need to educate our people on the three statuses that are before us, and to ensure that with the proper education on these statuses, that they can make a more informed choice going forward.
Thank you, Senator. That being said as well, I mean, the basically what that brief entailed was the U.S. Attorney had come out and said, look, Congress again is the one that decided this. You need to negotiate with Congress what you want. And basically some of the things of what they said is really not true. I'm trying to get a hold of the brief as it was presented, because that is up to the territories to negotiate or to work with Congress as to their degree of integration, which is true, but is their degree, our degree of integration, provided that we have the approval of Congress. The last time we had a vote of Commonwealth, the people of Guam decide Commonwealth, there are two provisions that they didn't agree with, to have our own, to regulate our own immigration, likewise mutual consent. Who would not mutual consent? I mean, who are wanting to mutual consent to something before things move forward. So basically, if we do have a plebiscite vote, it would be an unbinding vote, okay? Now, courts saying that, look, we're not going to, or the U.S. Attorney is saying, the courts should not decide. We're thousands of miles away, and we shouldn't be deciding this. It should be you deciding that. That being said, we have things that are bestowed upon us, like the Jones Act, okay, the Jones Act, that are bestowed upon us by actions of Congress thousands of miles away. What would you do again, if you're reelected, the 33rd Guam legislature, to work or to pressure the delegate to make sure that these restrictions, I mean, it's like a pick and choose. It's like United Airlines at this point. We're domestic and we're international. The same passenger is both domestic and international. I mean, so again, it's at everybody else's benefit except for us. What would you do should you be reelected again to pressure the delegate to make sure that we get exemption from, say, the Jones Act? And Jones Act is not just shipping, but also the component of the Jones Act is cabotage as well. Senator?
Well, Senator, I clearly hear you. You know, some have made the issue of that the Jones Act impacts or hurts the shipping industry, and also there's some who point to it as driving up the cost, which eventually drives up everything. You know, look, I'm all for anything or any initiative that will reduce the cost of living for our people. However, we have to have concrete evidence or data before us. If, for example, we waive the Jones Act for Guam and ensure that it would definitely reduce the cost of goods and services or goods to Guam, and before we make that type of decision going forward. So also speaking of cabotage, and to also ensure that what is the impact, what jobs may be lost to this as well. But again, I'm all for any initiative that would reduce the cost of living for Guam, and I'd like to move forward and seeing what evidence are there so that we can make a decision going forward.
Okay.
Thank you. You know, Senator, I remember and I recall that back in 2005, and actually before that, you were a very big advocate in open skies. And this is very contrasted to the Jones Act, where we need to work and focus, a clear mission and focus with our delegate to have an exemption of Guam, being that we are so unfortunate that many of our your groceries and many of the products that come to our island are just rising, and where struggling families cannot afford it anymore. I need to make sure that when I'm given that opportunity and elected, that the delegate will know my position. We have a good relationship with Delegate Bordalio, and I need to make sure that her mission and clear mission should to be an exemption for Guam, because although that Guam at first is exempted, but because we have routes from Hawaii to Asia, that any shipping comes through Guam, we definitely are a part of the Jones Act. And I think that if other territories in the United States are given exemption, Guam is no different. People are people, we're not products, and we need to make sure that comes part of citizenship as well.
Okay, thank you. Let me go back again to you, Derick, in this. Now, the military buildup, again, this has been talked about years back, 2005, 2006. Those numbers at the onset were 8,000, 10,000, not inclusive of families and workers that are going to need to come to Guam to build out. The numbers that were numbered from 20,000 to 30,000 increase in population. It has since definitely decreased. Are you satisfied with the decreased number, and are you also satisfied that now, although Pagat is still on the map as maybe an alternative site, are you now satisfied that Ritidian now is the choice for the shooting range? Again, are you satisfied with the numbers? And likewise, are you satisfied that Ritidian now is their choice for the shooting range?
Okay, well, I think we have to be forthcoming about this. I think no matter what decision and position we take from the local community, the federal government will continue to push an agenda that fits the format for its military and national defense. Now, in terms of land, I have truly objected to additional land for the military. They have said it to us many over time that they will work within their own footprint. And when it comes to lands in Pagat that are sacred lands to many of our people, I object to making sure that the military can take hands on that. The thing is that when they have control over Guam in the current status that we're under, it just is so difficult for our people to shed tears and time so that we can defend our land that is owned by the Antigua Chamorro and Ritidian, a beautiful scenery area that can become a tourism attraction. So if it comes to fostering growth for our community and making sure that we can provide extra areas on our island for tourism, I object to making sure the military can take up on Ritidian. I object to both of
Okay.
that.
Thank you, Derick. Senator?
I'm always been clear. I'm an advocate for the military buildup, for the Guam buildup. The military has made it very clear that without a firing range, there will be no military buildup, and we have to be very clear of that. If you look many years ago when we had these community meetings throughout the island, our people made their voices heard. Clearly, they did not want the firing range in Pagat. They did not want additional lands taken. And the military heard those concerns.
Mhm.
They came back, repositioned themselves, repositioned the firing range further up north within their footprint. And there's no additional lands being taken at this time. So, in the best interest of our people and to providing opportunities going forward, jobs that will keep our people here, we need to pursue this great opportunity before us. I believe that this is the last straw that we have, and we could not take it down another road where they take it to another place. It's very critical for our people, very critical for our youth that are now seeking opportunities out of college, higher paying jobs, and to ensure that we do not mess this military buildup. So we need to encourage people to get more involved in the issues and what they have done to address the concerns going forward.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Again, I'm going to start with you, this question. You're serving out now, you're finishing up your first term in the legislature. The situation with the hospital has kind of taken over DOE's bucket full of holes. When I was the vice chair, sitting under of course, the Committee on Health, the chairman labeled the hospital at the time as a bucket full of holes. It's a bucket without a bottom at this point. So he's kind of taken over they passed the baton from DOE now to the hospital. Your thoughts on the hospital and a designated source of funding. Recently, Administrator Verga had arrived from the Philippines touring and talking about possible partnership with St. Luke's to be able to bring expertise out here, to partner up, to be able to bring again some of the treatment that people seek for over there to bring here, which is great. We applaud that effort. Although you still need to pay for it, you need to have a source of funding, because what is going to happen is that non-payers are going to continue to be non-payers. Okay, payers are going to continue to bear the burden of having to pay for additional services. And so it'll be the paying public that will incur the higher cost, because it will bring up the cost to do that. Your thoughts, are you willing to sit down and put everything on the table to even honestly look at the maybe even to confront the fact that maybe Gov Guam should probably get out of the healthcare business, as we did with telephone GTA when it was a government entity? Can we have an honest discussion? Are you up for that discussion to look at all options? Again, your thoughts.
I'm up for that. All options on the table. Obviously, what we're doing right now is not working. You know, right now GMH has a situation right now, our challenges that will only grow with the new hospital that is ready and set to open. There is a lot of room for improvement, however, with GMH's management to do a better job in collections. There is my understanding, over 100 million in outstanding or accounts that are owed to the hospital. It's really difficult, I'm sure, for management to sort through that and get the hospital moving in a direction they want it to. It is clear that there's also some costs there that are unnecessary that they can also look at and address, so that they can minimize the impacts that are taking place and focus more on healthcare for that hospital. But Senator, we can go on many solutions for that hospitals and going forward, but I agree with you. We should put all options on the table, and there's a lot of models out there that we can take and then see if it could apply to Guam. And of course, I appreciate there's partnerships being looked at right now and are being explored to help the hospital.
Okay.
And that's where I stand on this issue.
Thank
right
you.
now.
Derek, you have a minute 15.
Sure. Senator, you want a clear answer from me, and the people of Guam want a clear answer from me. At this point in time, I do not support any privatization of our current hospital. It's one of our biggest assets because we have many, many of our employees there who've been there for so many years. Some looking to retire, some just newly graduated and ready to help our people in the hospital. If you look at the non-payers, I think what needs to happen is we need to focus on ways that we can lift a lot of our families out of poverty so that many of their kids and many of them can have jobs that are stable, good paying quality jobs, to afford insurances, to afford to pay for many of the unfortunate unpredicaments of health that may occur for them. And this all leads back to the economy. But if it comes to competition, I want to thank many of our leaders in the private sector, like Mr. Peter Scrow. As a Democrat, you won't hear that as often, but I really want to appreciate the good work of these folks that are trying to make sure that there are options for our people and good health care for our people. You've seen the tragedy going across the nation with Obamacare, but the mere fact that the intentions of it was to afford opportunities for our people to have health care. And at this point, you want a clear answer? No, I do not support a privatization of the hospital.
Thank you. Let's start with you now again, Derick. Recently, the governor came out and said, he's in regards to delinquent taxes. Okay, he's come out with this position. Now, do you support the governor's position in auctioning off only commercial properties for delinquent property taxes and not touching again residential private property? But instead just go after commercial property delinquent taxes. Your thoughts?
Simple answer to that is yes. I support any way that we can, retain land from businesses that are not paying taxes. To touch any residential from our families that own this property, this is the biggest asset of our island, and that's land. And it goes back to Retidian, it goes back to Poggett, but with the governor's view of looking at, retaining back land that is owned by businesses that are not paying taxes, why not? And so I support the view of the governor in that, but when it comes to residential, hands off. I think our people deserve to keep what has been given to them, and we have to find ways. We have to be innovative and proactive in our approach to making sure that we help these families and foster growth to many of them.
Okay, thank you, Derick. Senator, please.
Let's be very clear on this. We all want good schools. We all want more officers on the streets. We all want a fully funded hospital. These things are not free. And Department of Revenue Tax, yes, has to enforce the laws before them. We all want a better quality life on this island, and it comes with a price tag. We all need to contribute. We all need to pay our fair share of taxes and to provide for a better quality life on this island. So, yes, I agree that we must move forward and ensure that if we want a better life, a better quality of life, that we will have to pay our fair share of taxes.
Okay, thank you very much. Hey, we come to that point where we have to say, thank you very much for coming in here, but I tell you, we're going to give you an opportunity since the senator started. We have you start on this round now, the final thing. Tell the people of Guam again your name, number you were given, what side of the ballot, and what would be the first thing you do should you be elected to the 33rd Guam legislature.
Senator, to the people of Guam, thank you very much for this opportunity. It is a very big blessing for me to be here in the studio. Guahu si Derick Baza Hills Tautahagatzo. Magradua gi Universidad Distidi Mandu Dosme Katotsi. I am the family Manfanana and Kwetu and Makusi family Mami. I want to thank my family for supporting most of all, and to many in my generation. I want the people of Guam to know that now they will have a candidate that represents their sons and daughters and their grandchildren. For many that are struggling to attend a higher education at the University of Guam, I helped avert a tuition hike in 2012 along with many in our legislature. It's about working together. And if we're going to campaign, it's not about campaigning on a hope and a hope for change. It has to be about making sure the credentials are there, that candidates have proven that record. And I'm making sure this campaign that is about the issues, and I am number 11 on the Democratic side of the ballot, this primary, but also we look forward to making sure that the people of Guam are asked for their support in the general election. Sizulus Ma'asi, and thank you, and salamat po.
Thank you. Senator?
My primary agenda has always been on youth and technology. We need to focus more within our village communities to ensure that our children are kept busy with positive activity so that they become better contributing citizens for our community. I also want to look to improving Further, government customer service are putting more of those services online. We are in the information age. We have to adapt as a government to the information age more properly, and that's why I established the Office of Technology. People of Guam, like many of you, I'm everything Guam. I was born in Guam, raised in the beautiful village of Umatic. I started my public education at FQ Sanchez in Umatic. Went to middle school at Inarahan. Went to high school at Agat at Ocean View. I went on to attend the University of Guam and attain a BA in political science. I share that story with you because I want your children, I want your families to know that you can do everything right here. And I'm grateful for leaders before me that have laid the groundwork and the foundation for many of us, like myself and Derick. And we need to ensure that we sustain that and build upon that. And I humbly ask for your support this election and going forward. And I
Your
thank
number?
you for the
Your
opportunity.
number?
I'm number 5 on the ballot on the Republican side.
There we go.
Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. Wish you the best.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Again, this upcoming primary election. You can watch this again. It'll be broadcast tonight on local channel 2 at 7:30. It'll be highlighted on KUAM primetime tonight with Sabrina Sasmatanani and Jason Salas from 6 to 6:30. You can also view this on our KUAM YouTube channel. It should be ready about 10:30, 11 o'clock this morning. And likewise, Friday's taping of the show can be seen Monday afternoon at 3 p.m. on KUAM TV8. Monday morning on the Candidate Buzz, I'll be joined by incumbent senators Rory Respicio, Democrat, and Brent McCready, Republican, on the Candidate Buzz. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Thank you.